This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, Cheap Seat Sports Production Part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It's episode 46. I'm Tom Albano along with Nick Federa and Nick Morgeson. Guys, the day we're recording this, it's Black Friday, so ring the bell. It's about to be a battle royal.
Oh my goodness! Don't knock people over in the stores.
Please don't get trampled. Please don't get trampled.
I've got a feeling someone's going to get trampled today.
Oh my god! And I don't even know what's popular this year. So the last toy craze I can remember was Tickle Me Elmo, and that was when I was like,
I was going to say the Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah, that's going to be this year. It's going to be the Switch.
Well, if you remember a few years ago, it was the Nintendo Wii. We all remember when the Wii came out and we had the wireless remotes that people were throwing into their TV sets because they didn't know how to use the strap properly. Now it's Nintendo Switch, which inconveniently you could somehow carry in your pocket and play while you're out doing errands. But who gives a shit about that? Let's talk about sports.
Yeah, and on behalf of the Unspoken Podcast, we hope that you had a very happy, healthy, and food-filled Thanksgiving Day.
Okay, so quickly, I guess because I said we're going to talk sports, but how was dinner for Thanksgiving?
Fine. Perfect.
A lot of food?
Yes.
Copious. I felt like I was going to die. I have eaten more. I'm pretty sure I cut into a decent population, a decent amount of the population of four-legged animals yesterday.
Oh God!
Nick, did you see any masturbating orangutans?
Oh God!
No, I didn't. Although I hear they're good eating.
Oh. Let's move to our opening topics for today. Before we get into some football, let's talk some baseball.
Yes, indeed. We got stuff to talk about.
Well, basically, as Tom referring to baseball, which we thought we wouldn't be talking a lot of baseball because we're in the hot stove season and no one gives a crap about baseball at this point.
Stove is cold. Nothing's happened. That's the thing.
Pretty much.
True. But if you guys saw the Joe Morgan letter that went out, and I don't have enough time to talk about how angry I am about that letter, but you guys know Jeff Passan, right?
Yes, he's a reporter for... he works for Yahoo now, doesn't he?
Yes, he's a Yahoo Sports baseball writer. And basically, he decided to forfeit his Hall of Fame ballot because of the Joe Morgan letter. And I was reading this to Tom in our pre-show meetings. And like Stephen A. Smith says, you're going to need a thesaurus to understand this quote when I read it to you.
Oh, no.
So here's what Passan said about giving up his vote. Of the 1,069 propagandizing words sent Tuesday to the Baseball Hall of Fame voters, urging them just to say no to steroids, none encapsulated the museum's winning combination of self-reverence and tone deafness quite as blatantly as the six in which called itself the most sacred place in baseball. If by sacred place the hall means one in which racists, wife-beaters, drunks, gamblers, and purveyors of manifold moral turpitude otherwise are celebrated, well, Cooperstown is a shining beacon of divinity set upon a hill of hypocrisy.
First of all, I agree with him. Second of all, I agree with the point, but the second point being, my God, you see, you know that thing where you use big words because you want to sound smart? I do it. Yeah. I do it all the time in my work.
I was going to ask, Nick, did you write that quote?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Fuck you, Albano. Look, everybody knows that I use big words because I want to sound smart. But because I'm not a professional. Because I'm just some pud studying journalism. However, Jeff Passan is a professional.
But this is unbelievable. Like, reading this, I felt like I was listening to Stephen A. Smith, and he took out a thesaurus and just started pulling, like, he just went, all right, I grabbed this word out of the air. I'm going to use it in my quote. So I'm confused. And here's the other point I want to make about this. And I told Tom before we started here, was if he wants to remove every dirty player, whether it's wife beating, drunk, steroids, you might as well just say we get rid of the Hall of Fame and not have it anymore.
Yeah, it's a good point because
it's a good point. It's an unfortunate point. I was watching MLB Network a couple of days ago, and it was on. I think it was the show was MLB Now. I think it was on Wednesday. They had Jason Marquis on, a 15-year pitcher, played for a variety of teams.
Yeah, he's a
fellow Staten Islander.
He was noted as a St. Louis Cardinal. I think he won the World Series with the Cardinals.
He was on one of the teams, but he wasn't on the roster for the NLCS and World Series.
So you can kind of sense other people from Staten Island. It's like spider sense, isn't it? Though?
Well, first of all, that the fact that he's from Staten Island doesn't apply to this point. It's just, hey, he's from Staten Island, so go us.
Thumbs up.
Right. But basically what he was talking about was, when you think about it, steroids technically were never illegal from the game until 2004 or 2005. And I've discussed this in a couple of our classes, especially a couple of ours, Nick, that to me, MLB was hush-hush in the late 90s about steroids because they needed home run battles because baseball's popularity had been hit so bad by that first strike.
By the strike in 94. It wasn't necessarily, yeah. It wasn't I don't think it was necessarily hush-hush. There was an element of hush-hush, but there was also an element of wink-wink, nudge-nudge.
You know what, though?
And it didn't help that they needed, like, you guys know in 2002, the MLB came this close to another strike.
Yes, because of their issues between the Players Association and Major League Baseball and the owners. But at the same
I'm just saying, if that went to a strike, I don't think that's home run chase thing, steroids or not, would have helped baseball, because at that point it would have been like, this is ridiculous.
Well, actually, you just brought up another point, but I want to save it for when we're done with this PED issue, because it has to do with a certain negotiation that the Players Association just finished the other day. But to talk about this PED issue, as I'm reading this article, did you know that Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens got approximately 54% of the vote last year?
I think I do remember that. I think I remember Bonds and Clemens getting like half.
Now,
what is it you need to get in?
75%.
Yeah.
Oh.
You need 3/4 of the vote. Now, here's the issue. I feel like the Hall of Fame voting is kind of a farce. Like, people just do it to put their names out there. Now, I like that they're going to change the rule. I heard in the next couple of years they're not going to allow the votes to be anonymous anymore, so we can see who's voting for who, because people are ashamed of who they vote for into the Baseball Hall of Fame because everyone is dirty. But at the same time, hey, Joe Morgan, you're in the Hall of Fame, I think. So if you don't like the rules, and I'm sure you allegedly, everyone allegedly did something on the Hall of Fame. We have people who cheated, for crying out loud. Look at Gaylord Perry. He used Vaseline and Tax to form the baseball. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, and it's not like they've been upstanding moral characters either. I mean, Ty Cobb was a virulent racist, and he actually jumped into the stands to beat the shit out of a heckler once during a game.
Babe Ruth, the guy that we know as one of the most prominent players of all of baseball, he was illiterate, he was disrespectful, he was all this shit, and people don't realize it.
Well, if he didn't know talking good, I mean, I don't know why that's any ever mind of problem to you.
No. I'm just saying, like, he was not, apparently in his history, he was disrespectful to everybody he knew.
Oh. Yeah, well.
That's what star power does to you.
I don't know, but long story short, looking at who we see as eligible for the Hall of Fame this year, I don't know if you saw the names or not.
I didn't, but if I can make one more point here about what I was talking about with Marquis. Marquis was basically talking about how, like, right now, you will try to get out as many dirty players as you can to, like, forbid them from the Hall of Fame. But at that point, because this guy's, is suspected, some other guy could be suspected, but he could be purely innocent. So it's like you could try to eliminate all the dirty players, but leave innocent players out who should be in the Hall of Fame.
But how would you know the difference?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the hearsay that kills you.
Now, here's the problem. All the guys that are going to be up for the Hall of Fame in the next, let's say, 4 or 5 approximate years, A-Rod, I think Frank Thomas is in the Hall of Fame already. Who are we talking about here? Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, all these guys that are coming up for Hall of Fame. You're going to look at their stats. They're going to get kept out because you're going to get all the older millennial, not millennial, what's the word I'm thinking of? Old geezers walking around with a cane still who watched baseball in the early 1900s, basically, saying, when I was watching baseball, the sport was this, and it was clean and respectful, and we don't cheat. Well,
it only cost a straw penny to get me a corner seat.
So
and
basically,
we didn't have any fancy food. All we had were peanuts and Cracker Jacks and misery. And we liked it, goddammit.
But basically,
let's not forget. Well, it wasn't a clean sport. Let's not forget the 1919 Black Sox scandal.
Right. And the one funny point I wanted to make on this issue was I was talking about Coca-Cola. And the reason I bring it up is because I think this whole situation is laughable, to be honest with you. So most people don't know this. But do you know what Coca-Cola was made with before it was officially changed?
What?
Cocaine.
Coca leaves.
Cocaine. So, you know what? We all think that products are clean. They're not clean. They use whatever the cheapest material is to make shit.
Well, exactly. And it's still there, actually. They still use it, but they use the extract. So it's still there at a molecular level. It's just not enough of it. It's not technically cocaine, but it is molecularly indistinguishable from cocaine.
I don't know. But long story short, I think they need to make a decision. Either they're going to put everybody in or they're not going to put everybody in, and we need to stop complaining.
Yeah, that's a fair point, basically, because it's like I said. I mean, who do you put everybody out, but then you leave some people who are innocent and all, who, out of the Hall of Fame? It's not a good situation right now for the Hall of Fame. It's not.
I mean, who knows?
Maybe there's a middle ground that can be found, but it doesn't seem like we're any closer to figuring out what that middle ground could be and should be.
Nope, not at all. All right, so one more baseball thing to talk about. We didn't really have any free agent signings, but we had a signing of some particular interest. Brad Ausmus, the former manager of the Tigers, has now been hired by the Los Angeles Angels as a special assistant general manager.
Special assistant to Billy Epler.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, special assistant to Billy Epler. And you know what? I kind of expected this because, or actually, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle between expecting it and not expecting it because I thought he wanted to manage. And I thought actually he was going to get thrown in the interview mix possibly for the Yankee manager position, which I knew he probably wasn't going to get. But it's interesting. He said he was going to sit out a year, and now he's an assistant to the GM. I don't know what went on there.
Hey, it's a cushy job. I mean, I would try to test the limits to see if he could actually walk into the office in his underwear.
Well, here's my thing. Just because you're just remember this. Just because you're a good player or a good coach doesn't exactly make you a good front office executive. Hi, Michael
Jackson.
Hi, Phil Jackson. Yes. Hi, Mike Holmgren.
How you doing?
Nick, I think it's time.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay.
Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson, Mike Holmgren are 3 examples of guys who were players or coaches, but couldn't be front office executives for shit.
Well, Michael Jordan's an owner. He wasn't a coach.
I'm not talking about his role now.
Some say in basketball decisions.
Well, I'm not talking about his role now in Charlotte. I'm talking about his role when he was in Washington before he became a player again.
You mean
after
the failed baseball experiment?
I think you're just rehashing the plot of Space Jam.
I don't know, but who knows? I have an interesting piece of breaking news.
Oh, no.
If we want to get to that, too. It's kind of away from baseball. You guys been following the Chip Kelly situation?
Yes, I have, actually.
How he was going to be making a decision between Florida and UCLA?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, according to Yahoo, Florida has moved on from Chip Kelly as a potential coach.
So it looks like UCLA.
Well, it hasn't been made final yet, but Florida has decided to move on, not Chip Kelly.
Right. I guess they couldn't wait on a decision any longer, and they're going to move ahead with something. But you know what? At least Chip Kelly's back in college.
But you know what?
Yeah,
I don't think Chip Kelly's a great coach, to be honest with you. There's this whole hype that he was going to be a great NFL coach. He failed as the 49ers coach.
Yeah, well, he was fine as the Eagles coach at first, and then the shit began to unravel.
Well, the ship went under. So
it was a ship of shit.
Right. So he goes from the Eagles to the 49ers, and now I heard there's language in his contract that if he accepts a contract for a college coaching position, he might lose all his money from the Niners.
Well, should have read the fine print there, Chippy.
I guess things are getting a little chippy.
Doesn't he look like that?
Morganson.
Doesn't he look like the henchman to an evil wizard, though?
Yes, he does.
He does. He looks like Colonel Wormtongue.
I don't know. We'll see what happens there, but
they're here to kill you, master.
But let me ask one more thing about the baseball as I interrupted. Of the guys that we know who have the major stats, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, A-Rod, do you think any of these guys are ever going to make it into the Hall of Fame?
I would say A-Rod has the best shot, but probably not for all 3 of them.
Yeah, I would have to say probably not, because it's one thing, the steroids are one thing, but if you were a nice guy, you treated people with respect, and you were an overall upstanding citizen, that goes a long way to changing the conversation. But the issue here is they were both dicks. That's the easiest way to say it. They were really rude to people and rude to other players and basically head cases.
And
so I think that.
And Sammy Sosa has changed his skin color.
Well, I mean, he kind of bleached his own skin allegedly, but. In the long run,
well, he's actually auditioning for a part as an extra in the next Mad Max movie.
Oh shit!
Wow!
Here's one theory I'll give you, though, and then we can move away from baseball. When we get these new millennial writers, well, they're really not going to be writers by the time they become relevant. They're going to be bloggers.
When guys our age get these, little awards and everything. Basically, some of the voting shit's going to change.
Yeah, when we're at the levers of power, I think, well, God willing, that happens. I've always wanted to have power.
That's a scary thought, if you ask me.
No,
you don't know what I'm going to do, and you'll be the first one to go.
Oh shit!
I know a baseball writer now. I just read on Sports Illustrated. It's not going to vote for Chipper Jones at all because of his character.
Are you kidding? What?
Yeah.
Here's my problem. Okay, character is one thing. Because of all the fame, these guys have a lot of pressure on them, so they might act like assholes from time to time. But judge them on their numbers and how they played on the field. Don't judge their attitude.
Character is still a part of it, unfortunately.
But how do you get into the Hall of Fame? Because of character, because of numbers?
Well, Chipper Jones, my thing is Chipper Jones, as far as we know, didn't do any of the steroid shit. He didn't cheat or anything like that.
But the problem is, in the steroid era, you don't know.
And there it is again.
Now, let me ask you another question. I'm about to throw a monkey wrench into this situation. Let's look at a guy like Derek Jeter. Now, we all know he probably didn't do steroids, which I would be very surprised if he did. But because of the steroid era, would you be surprised if a report came out from out of nowhere that while during the World Series runs in the early 2000s, he did steroids?
I think I'd be a little more sad than I would.
Yeah, I would too. Because, well, we as Yankee fans always lord, the superiority of our players versus everybody else's players. Like, our players are holier than thou. And we do that. I mean, it takes... It's not true, but it does happen. But in this case, he was held up as baseball Jesus for so long. It would be hard to believe at first.
But let me form it a different way. Would you be surprised if it actually came to a head?
No, because I'm a cynical person.
Okay, that makes more sense. My point was just that in the middle of the steroid era, you wouldn't be surprised if a report came out that anybody was using steroids.
Well, that's the thing. If there was a report out that Jeter used steroids, there's part of me that would probably want to stop watching baseball, because at that point, everybody used steroids. At that point, I would say, time to disestablish the Hall of Fame and everything.
Now, let me clear something up. I'm not saying, if people who are listening to this, I'm not saying that he did steroids. Right. I'm just making a point that if anybody...
I was going to say, remember when Skip Bayless accused Derek Jeter of steroids on First Take like 5 years ago?
That was the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. I'm glad Skip Bayless is gone from the four-letter network, because I could give two shits about that asshole. I hope that he...
Speaking of assholes, are you pretty sure that take that he made was not just a fart disguised as speech?
It doesn't matter. He shouldn't say it. He has no facts to back it up.
I was so happy when Stephen A. ripped him a new one when he said that.
That's like when Skip Bayless said that Kobe Bryant wasn't box office.
And Stephen A's reply, you should be banned from talking basketball.
And he walked off the set. He walked off the First Take set. I'll never forget that day. I don't know, but...
I really wanted them to get into a fist fight. Honestly, I would love
Can we bring them back together, please? The ratings for First Take when they were together were the best.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast by the Undetermined Podcast Network. Guys, NFL Week 11 has happened, and Week 12 has started with the Thanksgiving games, so let's just talk about a couple of things that went on. First of all, why Giants? Why have you done this? Why have you screwed this up? Why did you fuckers show up against the Chiefs?
See, I hate to rely on cliches, but I must dust off this old chestnut. You can't have Thanksgiving without a turkey.
You know what? I'm really surprised how this game went. And you know what? I'm sick of these fucking excuses that they're making. Oh my God, it was the wind. They couldn't play in the wind. It affected them. And Eli knows how to play in the wind because he plays in New York. Shut the fuck up. I don't care about the wind.
No, you know what?
They blame it on the temperature of the earth if they could.
But let's face what this is. This is Ben McAdoo panicking. This is a last-ditch effort to save his job.
No, his job is done. It's over. It's zilch. I don't. Ben McAdoo is getting thrown in the fire and getting burned to death. It's over.
If that was the case, he'd be fired already.
Yeah, I'm gonna be so pissed if freaking, if he stays. I'm just
if he comes back, I'm going to tell you right now. If the Mara family and the Tisch family bring him back, you're going to see such a riot that's going to overtake the LeBron burning jersey time. That's what's going to happen. You're going to see Giants fans come out and burning jerseys and rioting outside of MetLife Stadium to the point where they're going to need police curtail to protect everybody.
If that's the case, and I don't mean to make any hard changes to the format, but if that happens, we have to permanently assign the circus music to the Giants.
Yeah, you know what? Screw it. I cannot believe that I didn't have this prepared. But then again, I just have not been prepared at all today. So, you know what? Let's just say fuck it, and you know what? Let's just give him it.
That's awful.
What?
Circus music.
It's true though. This team has channeled its inner Knicks. It has. This team is basically
the Knicks have actually been playing good.
From now on, the Unspoken Podcast is taking a trip to the circus that is the New York Giants.
Wait a minute. The Knicks have actually been playing halfway decent.
Right. So instead, we're going to take the music and everything that we previously associated with the Knicks, and now it has moved to the Giants.
And you know what's ridiculous also? Didn't they have a few injuries going into last night's game also?
Yes, they did.
And they got smothered by the Washington Redskins.
I wouldn't say smothered. I would say more fourth quarter collapse.
No, I'm sorry though. If you lost to a Redskins team that fucking sucks ass,
but we beat them. Well, here's my thing, and this is a question one of my friends proposed. So, you know, are the Giants, you know, just weird team that can show up for some games but not others, or does the AFC West just suck? Considering their other win was against the Broncos.
No, it sucks. It just sucks because again, like that point I made before, they go, all right, I pulled it out of the air. Who am I going to beat this week?
It's like throwing darts at a board. It is.
Exactly.
I was going to say, let's be real and let's look at the AFC West. I mean, Kansas City, I would say, Nick, I remember us talking in class and we said that you said that you feel like Kansas City just had a bad day. But I feel like Kansas City's luck is starting to run out.
I'm starting to see that as well. I'm starting to see that I was premature in raining down the hosannas upon them.
I would say the Kansas City's still an all-right team. They'll win the West, but their chances as a Super Bowl contender are up in the air. They're gone.
See, I look at a few teams. I look at the Saints. I look at the Vikings. I look at the
Eagles, Patriots, Saints, Vikings.
Right.
I throw the Rams in there too.
Now, I just want to throw a second monkey wrench into this. So, if you guys were watching a lot of Thanksgiving football,
I was.
If you were a Dish customer, you apparently didn't get to watch the Cowboys versus the Chargers game on Thanksgiving Day.
Hey, disagreement over money.
So here's what happened. Dish and CBS couldn't come to a goddamn fucking agreement for Thanksgiving Day. So the Cowboys and the Chargers game was blacked out in whoever had Dish, which was, let me get the actual number. I have it here. 28 stations in 18 markets, which impacted 3 million Dish customers could not watch the Cowboys and the Chargers on Thanksgiving Day.
Now that I have to ask a question, what did they get to watch?
The parade. Again and again and again and again and again.
Probably.
Well, you had to watch that at 9 a.m.
I know, but they're replays now.
Hey, don't judge. I got up to see the parade.
Excuse me. I was in the city working until 6 a.m. before the fucking parade started.
Oh, my God.
I had a friend
definitely
at the parade.
I could have gone to the parade if I wanted to.
Yeah, but why do that? But still, this is a prime example of why people are cord cutting.
I don't know. But this was stupid, and this just proves to you that the NFL had a huge turkey, no pun intended, on Thanksgiving, and they basically carved themselves up because they lost 3 million people that were going to watch.
And those are numbers that the NFL is hemorrhaging right now. And the fact that they lost that much and they need it, the NFL brass is probably going. I wouldn't say they're going ape shit, but they just downed a whole bottle of Maalox.
Well, it's time to change the contracts.
First it was Papa John's, now it's Dish Network.
Everybody's dropping. Everybody dropped like flies.
All you have to do is get a hold of Comcast, and then you got the asshole trifecta.
See, I hate to make this joke, but everyone's dropping like players kneeling before the national anthem.
Oh.
And there it is.
Sorry, if you don't like that, too bad, but I had to go there.
The door was left open right there.
Yeah, it's a good point. I did.
Going back to the Kansas City conversation, I mean, when you have the LA Chargers in second place in that division, they're only a game and a half back. I think that pretty much, and they're 5-6, and that pretty much shows you what kind of division the AFC West really is.
It's a crappy division that no one wants. It's one of those divisions where people are like, "You want the title? No. You want the title? You. Who wants the title?"
Okay, we're gonna settle this. We're gonna put the names in a hat. You reach in, and then if you take the name out of a hat, you win the title.
Basically right. Yeah.
Also, another crappy Sunday night game, and a crappy game in Mexico City. New England beat Oakland 33-8, and then on Sunday night, Philadelphia beat Dallas 37-9, and then Dallas followed that up by losing to the Chargers in Week 12.
I actually wanted to talk to you about that because I didn't get a chance to see a lot of the game because eating, but as I normally am. But what is it? Did the Cowboys didn't just have an off night, right? This is systemic, right?
Well, no, that was really bad. And I wanted to make a stat, Tom, that
I was going to say I have some stats here.
So there's one stat, and you might have this, but I think it was the first 3-game stretch where they scored under 10 points for the first time ever, right?
I think so. I think it was something. Actually, I have the scores from all the weeks right here, so I can just go through. So Week 10, Dallas lost 27-7. Week 11, Dallas loses 37-9. Week 12, they lose 28-6. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I heard this the other day, that it was the first time in their history in a 3-game stretch they scored under 10 points in all 3 games.
And not just that, but the LA Chargers actually, not that they haven't showed up, but they've showed, especially because of how weak the AFC West is, how they can be a contender. Melvin Gordon, 65 yards on 21 rushes. Eckler, 15 yards and 6.
Phillip Rivers had 434 passing yards.
Yep, and 3 passing touchdowns. And speaking of which, Keenan Allen, 11 receptions, 172 yards and a touchdown. Keenan Allen is going fucking off. He's having a year.
Everyone's going off, though, against the Cowboys because the Cowboys' D-line stinks.
Right, and the offense isn't. Here's my thing about the offense: it isn't doing any better. But I want to kind of shame Cowboy fans a little. This is something one of my friends posted on Twitter. I'm not one of my friends posted on Twitter, but one of my friends shared from Twitter, and it's from, I don't know who this is. Eagle. I guess this is a friend of this person who shared it, but it says if Cowboy fans are saying automatic loss, congrats when they were playing when it was Eagles Cowboys, because Tyron Smith and Zeke aren't playing, then they indirectly have told you what they think of Dak Prescott.
Well, here's the problem with the Cowboys, okay? So with Ezekiel Elliott being out, there's no second direct threat to Dak Prescott. So what this does,
knock him down, and the entire house of cards will collapse, I should say.
Right. So because there's no running game, they're sending everybody out to guard the receivers. They're double teaming receivers because there's no threat from the running back perspective. So why are they going to come up and defend the O-line if there's no running game?
Which is fair. I guess, does this mean is Dak Prescott not as good as we think he is?
I don't think he's as good as he is. I think people are giving him too much credit. I think more of that credit should go to Ezekiel Elliott when he's on the field.
If if nothing changes in these next 3 weeks, I think that's what it's going to have to be. It's going to be official then. That it's
So you're saying that he was never that good if he doesn't prove himself.
Exactly.
I think there's a problem because, and you can tell me if you agree or not, I feel like Dak Prescott is a bigger, stronger version of Michael Vick from the standpoint of running the football a lot as the quarterback.
Yeah, basically, but I still think, it sucks for the Cowboys because at this point, with his suspension, with Zeke's suspension and Dak Prescott being exposed for what he is, it's official. It's time to give the title to the Eagles, which I think they will clinch. It's either they clinch this week if they beat the Bears, or when they beat the Bears, rather, or it's going to be a situation where the Cowboys will have to win out and the Eagles will have to lose out. But either way, once we check the schedules, we can see the Eagles are going to clinch.
You mean the past couple of seasons where the Cowboys had to win the last 3 games in a row just to clinch a playoff spot?
Exactly.
I'd see. Let's take a look, if we will, very quickly at Dak's stats for this year. So his completion percentage is 63.7. He's thrown for 2,318 yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions with a QB rating of 87.6, which is down from his rookie season. But that still means overall he's got TD to interception numbers of 39-13. So he's still good. The stats are still.
Is he hitting the sophomore slump?
In his favor. I'm willing to
say yes. That he is hitting a sophomore slump.
Maybe that's what it is. And you guys know that I hate giving the Cowboys credit for anything.
Well, yeah, because you're a Giant fan. But at the same time,
I also think the Cowboys' rushing game is dead now because Alfred Morris isn't doing anything.
Alfred Morris and
Smith.
Darren McFadden?
Right, and Smith.
Hey, boys and girls, remember Darren McFadden? Neither does Darren McFadden.
I don't think Derek McFadden trusts Derek McFadden right now.
So that's week 11, week 12, and the Thanksgiving games, rather, in a nutshell. Oh, but one more point we do have to ask. I want to ask this question, guys. 30-23, Vikings win. Are the Vikings for real? I say, oh, hell yes.
They are 9-2. See, both our fathers, me and Tom, are huge Vikings fans. In fact, I showed you.
How?
I shared because of Fran Tarkenton.
Okay, that makes sense. But
actually, was it? Yeah, it was. But yeah, I shared a picture with you yesterday, Tom, of
you did.
My father wearing his homemade Vikings hat, which he calls a talisman, which is basically a construction hat with Viking horns glued to it. Made it himself, by the way. So I can't. How shall I put this? I want to say they're for real, but based on the teams that they've beaten this year, I can't say that the competition they've been going up against has been. I can't say it's been the best.
It's not been the best, and I'm trying to see if I can find their.
Although I do have to give them credit for last week's 33-7 win over the Rams. That was good on their part.
Well, let's look at the schedule. I have it up in front of me. Okay, so
I have it too.
So Saints win. Okay. The Saints were not supposed to be as good as they are at the beginning of the season, but okay, that's a decent win. They lost to the Steelers. We knew that was going to happen. Win to the Bucks. Okay. Lions win. That's nothing special. Bears win. Nothing special. Against the Packers at the time, that was a good win because it was.
Well, that was the game they knocked out Aaron Rodgers.
But I have to give them credit for that win because he was still starting. Right. Ravens is not as shitty. Browns are shitty. Redskins are shitty. Rams are not that great. Lions. All right, so I can see what Nick's saying. The schedule.
Yeah, I can see what Nick's saying, but I have to disagree with you on the Rams one. I think the Rams, they aren't the best, but they're far from the worst. They're having a 7-3.
I'm not saying they're the worst. It's
just they're 7-3. They're still a good team.
If I had to rank the schedule, though,
one team does not a division does not the entirety of a divisional opponent schedule make.
That's fair. That's fair.
But if I had to rank the schedule, because I'm looking at it, it's not a good schedule, like Nick said. It's probably 20 or 25th out of all 30 teams at least. So,
which probably when they made that schedule, they probably thought that the teams that they'd be playing against would be a lot better than they actually turned out to be.
Also, nobody thought Case Keenum would be as good as he is right now.
oh hell no!
Yeah,
And this is
how the hell does that happen?
This is the other discussion that they were having on NFL Network and ESPN and all this stuff. Let's bring back Teddy Bridgewater. And I'm like, no, don't bring back Teddy Bridgewater. Don't fuck up the Vikings' chances at winning a playoff spot and maybe home field advantage if they could keep going at this pace. Don't bring back fucking Teddy Bridgewater. I swear to God, if they bring back fucking Teddy Bridgewater, I'm going to curse them for life.
I will curse them for life if they bring back Sam Bradford.
Well, he's on IR. He's not coming back.
Right.
That's what I have to say. Fuck Teddy Bridgewater. I don't give a fuck.
I like Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater steal your car or something?
No, but if they do this, they're going to fuck up the Vikings' chances of winning.
He'd be limping away.
No, but they're going to fuck up the Vikings' chances of winning, possibly. And here's what I'm going to say. I'm not crazy. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they have a chance to go far in the playoffs.
I was going to say, I will agree with you that if they make that move, make a move to pull Case Keenum, I will say whoever has made that move, their ass better be gone in the offseason.
Now, I'm sure Teddy Bridgewater is a nice, amazing person off the field or whatever, but don't fuck up their chances on the field.
Right, don't ruin a hot streak.
Right, the momentum is momentum. In football, in baseball, when momentum is going, you don't remove somebody out of a lineup, and you don't remove the starter from the quarterback position. So don't fuck it up.
See, I'm inclined to believe that Case Keenum, who, by the way, his record as a starter was 9-15 going into this season, I believe, and I believe that the fact that we're seeing him not trip over his own dick is probably because of the fact that he's got a lot of weapons. I mean, he's got Kyle Rudolph, he's got Stephon Diggs, he's got
Adam Thielen.
He's got
on the rushing game he has McKinnon and Murray.
Yeah, he has Jerick McKinnon and
Latavius Murray.
And Latavius Murray, and that goes a long way. That you have an arsenal of guys that can catch the ball, run the ball, and know how to play.
I think the only reason they came close to losing yesterday was because of Kai Forbath. 1 for 2 in field goals, 3 for 4 in extra points.
See, that's the only thing that would make me laugh to this day. We saw Blair Walsh fuck up a kick for the Vikings.
Oh, don't talk about that. That was a nightmare.
And he almost got death. Well, he did get death threats and got ran out of the team. So hopefully a kicker doesn't stop their chances from winning a playoff game.
My father still experiences bad flashbacks from that.
Are you kidding?
You don't know how dedicated my father is.
You're all dedicated football fans.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Unfortunately, we have to move to a more sensitive and serious subject now.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately.
So for those of you who may not have been following, one of the doctors for the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team has come under fire as a recent person in this. What do we want to call this? Like everyone in Hollywood and all these athletes now being accused of
scandal. It's an avalanche. Well, it's really an unveiling of just how perverted people are and how men can be pigs.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about the situation as a whole or her situation separately? So I know.
I feel like I'm not sure how many people have heard about this story. So let's just give a quick backstory before we do anything. Context is necessary.
Yeah, context is necessary.
I mean, looking at this story, the Olympics has had problems for years. If we're talking about just this situation alone. And right. The U.S. Go ahead.
The context is necessary. The U.S. Olympic gymnastic team doctor, it came to light that he basically sexually harassed one of the women on the team. Who was the original that?
Well, the doctor's name is Larry Nasser.
That's it.
I believe his name is.
So who was the first one before the Twitter thing happened?
Before Allie Raceman?
Was it Allie?
Douglas.
There was Gabby, but then who was before that? There was somebody.
Might have been Michaela Maroney.
It was the whole gymnastics team. Let's not single anybody out. The whole team.
Yeah. It was. Perverts are going to pervert, and when they pervert, they perv on everybody.
But basically, someone from the team came out and told her story. And basically, Gabby Douglas, originally on Twitter, basically shamed women. Like, say, we can't put ourselves in this situation, which led to Simone Biles getting involved.
Here's the problem, okay? Now, I saw this unfold and manifest itself on Twitter, and I feel like Twitter is a very dangerous weapon at times when it comes to domestic violence, sexual assault, and all this shit, because then it spreads and everyone gets the wrong perception of everybody who puts things out. So here's what I think. This doctor is a complete asshole, and somehow he got a plea deal, but he's going to be in jail for over 20 years.
A pedophile, basically. Let's not mince words.
No, you're right. He's allegedly a pedophile because we don't know the whole story. You're right. He probably is a pedophile, but we can't confirm or deny that yet.
We have to be journalists here, allegedly.
Right. So here's my problem, and I'm going to veer off a little bit into the whole situation that we're hearing in the news right now because I've been dealing with it a lot, listening to it a lot at work. So we're seeing all these names come out, and not just sports names. We're hearing names like Al Franken and the whole Harvey Weinstein situation. And I'm sick of this shit. If you did something, come out and admit it and stop hiding behind your dick like a fucking asshole so we can take your ass off the air like Charlie Rose, who just got suspended and fired from CBS and PBS. I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to go off on a hot take right now, okay? Because I'm done with these sexual assaults. I'm done with these domestic violence, and these people should be fucking fired.
Do you remember I saw this on Twitter, but last year whenever a celebrity was trending, it was like, oh God, I hope he or she didn't die. Now this year, it's, oh God, I hope he or she didn't sexually assault somebody.
I hope he or she is not actually dead to me.
No, you're right, and I'm sick of this shit. We're seeing all these names come out for sexual assaulting people underage. Control yourself.
And you know what? When I made the joke about it before, I didn't mean to. Well, not joke about it, but I didn't mean to be flippant or dismissive.
Well, like the words you used to describe the whole situation, not just this situation, but like as a whole, as everybody. It's an avalanche.
Yeah, let's be completely honest with ourselves. This is a heinous, despicable crime. It is, and this is honestly, this is endemic of culture of, men like you put it before, Nick, men hiding behind their dicks and using it as a bludgeon, not a tool.
A power trip.
Yeah, it's a power trip, and it's absolutely despicable because God, I don't have daughters of my own, but I have female family that I'm very close to, and if this ever happened to them, I don't know what I would do. I would lose my shit first.
I would just have a question about Gabby. Because you remember, now she has come out with her own story basically saying he did. But like when the original story came out, she basically, Twitter shamed women and said basically,
the fight between her and Allie Raceman.
Right, and Simone Biles got involved too, correct?
Yes, and you know what? Here's the problem. I don't think that's the only problem going on at the Olympics. We're having a lot of issues, not just assault and abuse. We're having underage people competing at the Olympics, and when you have underage people competing at the Olympics, and
they get taken advantage of,
right? And you're seeing all these.
They get Shetland ponies and dress them up in human clothes if it meant they could have actually any kind of minuscule physical edge.
Now, what I don't get with all these people, and I had this discussion, like how Harvey Weinstein was basically saying, well, if you don't do this stuff with me, I'm going to blackball you in the business. Well, guess what? Get the fuck out and go somewhere else. If you're desperate to really go to Hollywood, go somewhere else.
I wouldn't be, so I don't want to, but I have a lot of sympathy for for the women that didn't come forward immediately. Because
I have sympathy too. I guess my only thing with the Gabby Douglas thing is, you guys are a team. The team sticks up for one another. The team comes together as a whole. Like, you know, when the first story came out, basically everybody but Gabby, you know, came out in support of their fellow Olympian. Why did Gabby not choose? Like, that's what confuses me.
I think because she had a separate issue. That's why she probably waited, because she had to get all the facts straight, including what was going to happen with, what's his name, Larry Nasser. Nasser. And basically, they had to wait to confirm all the facts before she could come out with the story. Because remember, context, as we say, is necessary in the standpoint of, if I say the wrong thing, then I could sue for libel and get the story to go away anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I have, you know, for them those that didn't come forward immediately. I mean, I understand how hard it is to have to say these things, because
I understand too. But I feel like when one team member speaks out, everybody begins to speak out, and then the story becomes to unravel. Basically,
well, this is a little cliche.
As they should start speaking.
This is a little cliche. I'm going to dust this one off. All for one and one for all.
Exactly. And the thing you mentioned about the Gabby, about wanting to get the story right, and it's like, then why did she tweet what she did? Also, to bring in another cliche that we've said before on the show, and we're always taught in this business: watch what you say, watch what you say, watch what you say. Think before you tweet. Think before you tweet. Think before you tweet.
Oh, right. Social media is a problem. That's why I said you have to be careful what you put on social media, including these athletes, and because
allegations and everything.
Right. And you know what? I understand that she was trying to make a point so women can understand where she came from, but you got to be careful, because if you say something even an ounce out of context, it's going to be taken really wrong.
Pretty much.
I wouldn't, but again, I mean, it's still I don't victim blame, because I know. Believe me, I know how difficult it is.
Oh, I'm not victim blame. I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm not victim.
Right. No, I'm not accusing you of. I'm not accusing you of doing that.
I'm just saying, if all your teammates are coming out, you know, and standing up, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to.
You shouldn't. You got a point. I mean, you shouldn't. If everybody's doing it, if they all say it, and you're not saying it, it does.
And the truth is coming out.
Now, let me clear something up in the sense of, like, even though I'm saying that these people shouldn't be going towards Harvey Weinstein and Charlie Rose, and if I saw someone on the street getting attacked, I would try to go over there in a second, as long as they don't have a weapon. I would be the first to say, get the fuck out of here. I would protect the woman in an instant.
Well, I think that in that point, we have a more problem that we are a society that instead, and we were talking about this in class, I think last week, Nick, we are instead a society that takes out its phones and will hit the record button instead.
Well, they actually help somebody.
But that's stupid. And I want to talk about that for a second, where people go like this, like you said, they take a phone, and people can't see what we're doing because we're doing a podcast, but
He's raising his phone.
We're raising our phones.
Right. And they say, all right, let's push the record button and watch a guy beat the crap out of a woman.
No, and then let's go put it on YouTube, and we'll get 1 million views. And we'll go.
First of all, if I saw someone taking video of a woman getting beat up, first I'd go stop that person beating them up, and then I'd go beat the crap out of the person who took the video, and I'd throw their phone down a city sewer. Because you're being a fuck up by letting the person get beat up instead of doing something. Don't be a sissy. Don't record it. Go save the person so they don't die.
I wouldn't say that they're being a sissy as it is. They're thinking, oh, I'm going to go viral. I'm going to have viral fame, because everybody wants their 15 seconds.
What's the name of that stupid site that puts up those fighting videos? World Hip Hop Star or whatever they call it?
World Star Hip Hop, yeah.
I wish that site would get fucking dismantled, because all they do is show fucking fights instead of protecting people. Fuck you, World Hip Hop Star, whatever you are.
Or they're dropping their latest mixtape, regardless of how on fire it is.
I don't know, but if it were me and
I
I'm
don't have
walking
any
around
idea who of you were talking about.
right. But if I'm walking around the city after work and as long as I said, as context necessary, as long as I don't have a weapon, I will pull that guy off so fast and beat the crap out of that guy if I see someone beating up a woman. I don't give a shit. You don't disrespect women like that.
You listen to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Boys, get your Week 12 matchups up. It's time for the rapid rundown.
Oy.
Hit the music.
All right, let's do it. 1 o'clock games. First of all, we got the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Atlanta Falcons. Hey, Atlanta, let's try not to choke. As I said in my stardom sit-em for the week, if Matt Ryan and the Falcons can't do anything here against this weak Tampa Bay defense, then what can they do?
So I will take the Falcons by 3.
I'm also going to take the Falcons.
Oh, God. What a horrible game, to be honest. I'm going to do something I don't do. I haven't done all season. I'm taking Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Oh, my God. Cleveland and Cincinnati.
Lucky.
Cleveland and Cincinnati. I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Tennessee and Indianapolis. Wow, these are 3 straight crap games. Tennessee.
Let's give Mark this one. I'm taking Tennessee.
Oh, another shitty game, but yeah, I guess I'm going to go Titans.
Buffalo and KC. God, this one's close, but you know what? I think KC... I think as much as Buffalo is eating last week's decision to bench Tyrod Taylor for a guy who would end up throwing 5 picks in the first half and being replaced before the game even ended, I'm just going to have to go with KC.
I'm going to take KC by 10.
Oh, God. I mean, Peter Mann is a Peter woman. So...
Wow.
Basically,
Wow.
I'm going to go with Kansas City over Buffalo.
Oh, here's another shitty game. It's Miami and New England on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
New England.
Carolina and the Jets on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Carolina.
Chicago and Philadelphia on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Philadelphia.
God, the 1 o'clock games suck. 4 o'clock games. 4 o'clock games, Seattle and San Francisco. Oh, God, another one. Seattle.
But you know what? They work as good Sonic wallpaper when you're decorating it for Christmas.
Or a fathead.
I'm actually going to decorate for Christmas in a little bit once we're done here. New Orleans and the LA Rams. We have a fact from the score. The Saints have won 8 games in a row and are 4-1 on the road this season.
New Orleans.
So, I was going to say, this one's actually looking like a good matchup, New Orleans and LA, but I think New Orleans streaks continue. I'm going New Orleans.
I'm going to take New Orleans by 14.
New Orleans.
All right. Jacksonville and Arizona. I think Arizona...
This is not as easy as you think it is.
I know, it's not. You have Jacksonville's
not a good road team.
They're not a good road team at all, but they also have a strong defense, which could give Adrian Peterson and Larry Fitzgerald and Blaine Gabbert a hard time.
Everyone gives Adrian Peterson fits.
No, a hard time.
His own kids give him fits.
I was saying the whole team, because let's realize who their quarterback is. Blaine Gabbert.
Yo, Gabbert.
Yo, Gabbert is right.
So you know what? I think as long as Leonard Fournette is healthy, or if he's out, Chris Ivory somehow has another good game, and the defense holds up, I'm actually going to pick Jacksonville on the road.
I'm going to take Arizona by 7.
Oh wait, I'm the deciding vote on this one. Oh. I don't know. They both are not good, to be honest with you. Jackson.
Do you just want to say a tie?
No, because I have to pick one. But
the tie is possible in the NFL.
You know what? I'm going with Nick this week. I'm going Arizona because I just think their offense is going to hold up more than Jacksonville defense.
All right, Denver and Oakland. Wow, another shitty matchup.
Let's take Oakland. I am not going to back the Broncos.
Let's just
burn too many times.
Guys, is this? I haven't been paying attention. So is this for real or not? There's no quarterback listed for Denver.
Yeah, that's true. That was after this past week. They said they didn't. Brock Osweiler is out as the starter.
Again, you know what?
Yeah, it's yeah. You know what his name is? Terrence B. Dermott, TBD.
Oh, wow.
But
Let's
you know
put it
what?
this way. Let's put it
Denver's on the road. They don't have a QB. They're going to be relying on C.J. Anderson. I like C.J., but you know what? At this point, Oakland actually seems more of a fit team. Not as fit as, a muscly, bodybuilder guy, but freaking Oakland at least, has some sort of team together. So I'm going to go with Oakland.
You know what? I'm going to take the Nick logic here because Denver has not been so great as of late. So I'm just on the Nick and Nick logic alone. I'm going to go Oakland.
So we're all in agreement with Oakland then. All right.
Same kind of logic that gets you stuck in a revolving door.
Shit. That reminds me of that commercial where all the weird things happen, like where the guy goes to the turnstile and he gets stuck and he laughs.
Oh, the DirecTV commercial, like people enjoy getting hurt.
Yeah, where the woman pours coffee all over her shirt. She enjoys the hot coffee. Oh, yeah. I'm not going there. But you get where I'm going with that.
Sunday night game of the week. Well, this would be a good matchup if Aaron Rodgers was playing. It's Green Bay and Pittsburgh. The Packers are 1-3 since Rodgers broke his collarbone. They're going 1-4. Pittsburgh. And the Monday night game of the week, another crafty matchup. Houston and Baltimore. The Ravens at 5-5 have won 9 consecutive primetime matchups, the longest streak in the NFL.
Let's see. No Deshaun Watson.
And instead, you have a Tom Savage.
Well, it's perfect. It's a savage person for a savage game. So, let's see. Is Joe Flacco starting or no?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Not that matters to shit, but
I'm going to go Baltimore just because it seems when they're in prime time, they actually do something.
No Deshaun Watson, no deal. I'm taking Baltimore.
yeah, that's pretty much the same logic. Oh, I'm going to go with the count. Go Baltimore.
What a shitty week again.
Now, I don't know if we want to go into one more issue because I know this might make Tom's blood boil a little bit. Do we want to go to one more story?
Fuck LeVar Ball.
Well, let's go to it because I like to see Tom's blood boil. So LeVar Ball was on CNN and he was talking to Chris Cuomo, and I decided to pull 6 little things because if I were to play the whole interview, which was 22 minutes, I think Tom would drop dead. So
he would actually reach through his monitor and punch you in the face.
No, I
would reach through the monitor. I would swing my arm through Nick's monitor, grab LeVar Ball, and punch him in the face.
But let's have a little discussion. So I thought this was interesting. So Chris Cuomo and LeVar Ball are talking about how his son and 2 other players from UCLA were basically trapped in China because of their strict laws.
Yeah, as we went into last week.
Right. But
how could you be so stupid?
So basically he came out, Chris Cuomo, and said, "Hey, LeVar, what did you think about the president being involved?" And this is what LeVar Ball said.
How do you know it? How do you know it wasn't involved before I even knew that? I mean, he didn't even know he was over there and like that. Okay, what was the reason for him going over there in the first place?
So, are you confused from the beginning? That's the first of a few that I have.
I was going to say, it's known, maybe LeVar Ball's just not paying attention to the news because he was there in China. Trump was on a tour in the Asian countries.
And then another thing, because the context brings it to a T. This is LeVar Ball saying, was Trump really involved or not?
Okay, he didn't get involved till he got to China?
So that's a direct quote from LeVar Ball.
He didn't get involved until he got to China?
Right. So for some reason, he thinks that he wasn't even in China.
Like I said last week, I think LeVar Ball is just in his little fantasy world. where Big Baller Brand is everywhere in every store, and his son is the king of the NBA, and his sons are the king of the NBA, even though 2 of his sons aren't even there yet.
I mean, and here's another interesting thing. I thought this is very telling. Now, I think this proves this next quote, how LeVar Ball is really confused. And listen to how Chris Cuomo tries to interrupt LeVar Ball, but doesn't have a very successful attempt at it.
He wasn't going over there beforehand.
He was going over there before.
What are you trying to say? It wasn't like he was in the U.S. and said, okay, there's 3 kids in China. I need to go over there and get them. Okay. That wasn't the thought process.
All right.
Okay.
Right.
What we're talking about right now is a lot of stuff about my son just because his last name is Ball. We're not even talking about the other 2 kids.
Well, so I thought that was a little laughable, that basically he's saying that the only reason we're talking about this is because it's my kid, not because of the story. Thoughts?
I'm trying to think of how to word this because, I mean, even like we said last week, even if it was the other 2 kids, I still think they would have gotten out and, had more helping hand because at least they're student athletes.
But here's the problem.
But now here's the question. And it's actually a journalistic, legal, ethical question, Nick and Nick. Is the whole Ball family now public figures, even if those 2 kids the 2 younger ones aren't in the NBA because of their dad and their brother? Are they now involuntary public figures?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Think so.
Because the reason they are is because the father, LeVar Ball, has been publicly criticized, publicly been put in the spotlight between being on every sports network and every news network there is. He is a public figure because everyone knows who he is.
That's my criticism to LeVar. It's like, why are we talking about because it's my son? Well, you're putting everybody in the spotlight. It's your fucking fault.
Right. And this is going to be very telling, this next piece that I play. Hey, LeVar Ball, what do you think about saying thank you for this situation?
It's when somebody asks me a question, that's not disrespectful if I feel nobody did anything. I don't have to say go around saying thank you to everybody. I mean,
you don't have to go around saying thank you to everybody.
I didn't shake his hand. He didn't have to say that, but I'm just saying, if I have to know what somebody's doing before I say thank you. I'm just not going to go around saying thank you.
All right, so
you come and shake my hand and meet me or meet my son or anybody, and then say, you know what, maybe I can help you out.
All
okay,
right.
let's do it that way. But just because people say things, it's supposed to be true. Like, hey, I stopped them from saving 10 years. Maybe we was doing some talking with some other people before he even got there. So I'm saying there's a lot of other matters to go around for the president to deal with that's political.
All right, let's take one step back.
As far as me, let me deal with my son and let him do what he's going to do.
All right, Mr. Baller.
Okay, so I just thought that was very telling in the sense of I don't need to thank somebody for doing bidding for me.
My issue has never been with the thank you, Mr. Trump, or President Trump getting involved. My issue is he was interviewed on TMZ, LeVar Ball, and basically said that it wasn't a big deal. Your son got caught shoplifting in a communist country with all these, really strict laws, facing jail time. It's like, how is it not a big deal to you, regardless of if you were talking to somebody or not? If my son was facing 3 to 10 years, I'd be very concerned.
So would I. I'd be very concerned because the laws are much stricter in China than they are here. Nick?
I just, the 2 of them, Trump and Ball, they're birds of a feather here. They're 2 assholes colliding against each other, and I just can't deal with it anymore.
Like I said, my issue is not with Trump. My issue is why did everything, and why is CNN giving LeVar Ball interview time? Doesn't CNN have other issues to talk about?
It's not just CNN.
Because they love loudmouths.
You go yell at go yell at the 4-letter network, and go yell at Fox Sports and Colin Cowherd for keep having him on.
I've already given them an answer to that by turning them off and going to other networks.
Well, I only turn them off when he's on there. So, but
I turn them off completely. I don't watch ESPN anymore unless it's Around the Horn, Party Interruption. On the occasion that Bomani Jones and what's the other guy, Dan Le Batard's show.
He's not on there anymore. You're talking about Highly Questionable.
Highly questionable, yeah.
It's-
highly questionable done?
No, it's not done. He's doing his own TV show starting at the beginning of next year with
okay.
what's his name from Around the Horn? I can't remember his name.
Bomani?
Bomani and who's the other guy? Pablo
Hey,
Torre.
Dante?
Pablo Torre.
Pablo, okay.
I have one more piece of information because I had to stop at
Basically, if it's somebody from Around the Horn or the Around the Horn show itself, I'll watch. Pardon the interruption. Maybe Scott Van Pelt's SportsCenter because I love SVP. He's my favorite guy there.
Yeah. But I have one more piece of information because I had to stop after this point because if I kept going, it would have been a lot. It's a 22-minute interview, which if you really want to go check out, it's on CNN's page. It's on YouTube. Everyone has put it up. But here's one more interesting piece of information. Take a listen.
I'm gonna tell you this: if I'm coming to get you,
Yes.
if I'm coming to get you, let's say I'm coming to get you out of trouble. If I'm coming to get you out of trouble, you best believe I'm gonna take you with me. So if I come over here and say, "Excuse me, sir, whoever, can you do something for this kid or this person and allow me to take them with me?" That's if I'm doing something for somebody.
All right, so
I'm not going to come over there.
let's just
and
get right to it. So-
let's be a little lenient on it, but I'm out of here.
All right.
So I thought that was a very telling thing to end with. But I don't know if we publicize LeVar way too much. Are they doing it for ratings?
I think it's a mix
Shit,
of
we're
both.
doing it right now.
What happened?
Shit, we're doing it right now.
No, but I was just bringing it up because I thought his quotes were interesting in the standpoint of, like, he's a self-centered prick who doesn't care about society.
Yeah. And so then, and grass is green and the sky is blue.
I was going to say, I think I've needed to say all I needed to say about LeVar Ball last week. I think he is a terrible human being. I think he's a terrible father. I think he is worse. The only thing I'll say about Trump in a positive thing is about how he made me laugh when he called him a poor man's Don King because as a big boxing MMA guy, that actually makes me laugh because I'm trying to picture now LeVar Ball with Don King's wacky hair.
That's what I was just thinking. Oh, my God. Like the hair just, like, springing out of everywhere, just like, "Ah!" like
Just Mike Tyson's old promoter.
He's not even Lucius Sweet.
I could see, like, a Mike Tyson incident where he was, like, biting an ear off or something.
Jesus Christ. But here's my thing. Let your sons have individuality. Like, you're promoting it. You have, like, forced yourself into the spotlight so much because, you know, you're putting all your kids on the NBA. You're talking all this stuff, even before they get to the NBA. Like I've said before, let Lonzo play. Let your kids fucking play the game.
No,
That's all I need to say.
I'm in total agreement, and we'll try to finish this up quickly. But my point basically is let the kids play, like Tom said. You got to get them out of the spotlight because you're just going to – everything that they do now is going to be publicly criticized. So,
And it's his fault.
yeah, and this whole stupid quote that LeVar just came out and said that the Lakers coaches are being too soft on him coaching-wise. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, that made me even angrier. I'm not a big, as you guys know, I'm not a big NBA guy, but it's like, come on, really? Like, you would do, like, I'm thinking to myself, LeVar Ball saying he should coach, by that logic, he should coach the Lakers. It's like, what have you done, LeVar
You know
Ball?
what? You know what? By that logic, LeVar Ball should be the commissioner of the NBA.
He probably thinks he should, and he would favoritize Lonzo and his team so much, which is completely, you know, it's something you shouldn't do as a commissioner, and you can go on and on. But here's also the other thing. It's like, so you're telling me you would be a better coach than the guy in LA right now. You mean the guy who is the son of one of the NBA's greatest players of all fucking time?
Now, here's another issue I want to compare to, and I'll let you get back to that point in a second. The MTA and the WTA, the Men's Tennis Association, the Women's Tennis Association, have rules during a match that they're not allowed to look up at the coach's box and they're not allowed to receive any coaching signals whatsoever during a match. Why aren't we making rules for the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, whatever you want to do, and just say, hey, once the games are going or once the practices are going for the NBA, you're not allowed to speak to your son. You're not allowed to be involved. Shut the fuck up and let them play.
I was just going to say, the example I would always use is you don't see Derek Jeter's mother or father coming down when something happens to Derek Jeter if he's a victim of a bad call or something.
You don't see his model wife running down and say, hey, hit a home run.
So I have nothing else to say but fuck LeVar Ball.
Can we get a hashtag going that just says hashtag fuck LeVar Ball? You should put that up on the Unspoken Podcast Twitter account and see what
then
happens.
they'll go after us, and we'll never stop talking about it. I have to put my foot down there. I have to. I'm just done.
Speaking of which, did you guys see the turkeys of the year I posted on social media?
I did. I was like, yes. You didn't put mine up, though.
No, because that was the overall vote. Remember, we gave our.
Oh, right. You're right. This context, Tom on the Unspoken Podcast Facebook page put up our turkeys of the year from last week. Go back and listen to last week if you want to hear them.
And then go check out our Facebook and Twitter page to see photoshopped heads on turkey trophies.
By the way, the hashtag fuck LeVar Ball is up on Twitter.
Oh, my God.
No, I didn't put it up. It's people have been using it.
I know. I'm just, oh, my God. How many people have been using it?
Well, I can't tell. I just typed it in, but I see a bunch of hashtags.
How long is the scrolly thing?
Uh,
Out of the computer.
Let's see. Goes all the way back to July. Keep going.
Oh, my God. This has been a long time coming, in other words.
Oh, wow. I see fuck Lonzo Ball, too.
I don't think he's the bad one in the situation here, although he hasn't been playing up to what his father has been hyping him.
He is a little bit of a pompous asshole, though.
Well, look who their father is.
Oh, yeah, they have to get it from somewhere, right? I guess they're not shoving balls where they belong, do they?
Oh, boy. Lord. And we're ending right there. So go like the Facebook and Twitter.
You're welcome, Nick Federa.
You had to one up me.
Go like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Periscope at the UDUP. Go like Undetermined Podcast Network at the UD Network on Facebook, Twitter. Go like and follow all the rest of the Undetermined Podcast Network accounts, and that's going to do it for us. For Nick Federa, for Nick Morganson, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next time. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, a Cheap Seat Sports Production part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Episode 47 next week. Until then, take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And support Small Business Saturday. Go shop at your local businesses, people.
But everyone's dropping like players kneeling before the national anthem.